Welcome to MSP Unplugged. I'm your host, Paco Lebron. This is the place to learn how to run your MSP, whether you are a nimble MSP or leading a team for the journey. This is the place for you. Let me go ahead and introduce my co-host, my partner in crime, Mr. Rick Smith over at Renactus Technology. Rick, how are you, my friend?
Doing great, doing great. Nice sunny day. Feeling good out here in Denver. Ready to work.
Very good, very good. I'm excited to introduce this next guest. We have Dave Meister, who is the global head of MSP and MSSP over at Checkpoint. David, how are you today?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to be out here in Denver.
I appreciate it. I mean, it's a great atmosphere. The energy's been real hot, especially from yesterday being day zero, now day one. A lot of great stuff in the keynotes, and I know that there's going to be some more news that'll be coming out here in the next couple of days. But David, before we go into Checkpoint and kind of all of its offerings, why don't we get a little bit of an introduction from you and how you kind of found yourself to Checkpoint?
Yeah, absolutely. So, based out of the US now, in fact, just on the other side of the Rockies, just over in Utah. I feel a little bit guilty. It only took me about an hour and a half to get here. But as you can probably tell from my accent, I'm Australian. Okay. So I've been in the IT industry now for I think since about 2007.
Okay.
So I came through the IT industry with a break-fix company. So I worked for a family business. We did break-fix for networks, for telecommunications. We realized we could then offer contracts. And so I went through the evolution of the MSP with break-fix to contracts. And then that became managed IT. And I worked for managed service providers for a number of years. And then just after the acquisition of Avanan by Checkpoint, there was an opportunity to start the Asia Pacific region to sell email security. And then a couple of months after that, there was an opportunity to run the global MSP team, and given that I was born in the channel, so to speak, I took it up, and I've been running the program for the last couple of years.
Very cool, very cool. Well, as the audience here know, Avanan is not a strange name to those that use it. I think even a co-host here may use it in his portfolio and whatnot. So, very good products that you have there. Now, for those that may not have heard of Checkpoint or have heard of Checkpoint but don't really understand the portfolio that's kind of inside of it, can you share a little bit about what's different from other companies of the same type of portfolio, or kind of what makes you different even with the MSP program that you may be offering over at Checkpoint?
Yeah, absolutely. So Checkpoint's a big cybersecurity titan. We've been around for 30 plus years. One of the first companies to go to market with a firewall. And a lot of people know us because they saw a firewall in a server room in the 90s. And that's the association. But Checkpoint's very different to that nowadays. That's our roots, and we still have a lot of business in the firewall sector, or the firewall part of the market, but we've expanded beyond that. So we provide a very, very broad range of services, everything from workforce security, which includes email security, which is Avanan, SASE, which is Perimeter 81, external risk management, which is CyberInt, and then we also offer cloud security, MDR services, and a number of other services. Where we differentiate is we've actually, with the acquisitions that we've made, we've brought them all into a single platform called the Infinity Platform. It all gets powered by the same threat intelligence. So when there's a threat we pick up on a firewall, we have email security customers looking for and preventing that threat within about 2 seconds anywhere on the globe. And it's all in this single platform, single alerting, single pane of glass, single click licensing, MSP ready to go.
So, I think we've come to a point now in so many years that everyone is really starting to invest in platforms, and marketplace is kind of getting thrown into that as well. So it sounds like with being able to acquire these acquisitions and providing them in that single pane of glass, as you would like to say. Hate saying that word because oftentimes everyone who does offer a single pane of glass, oftentimes my phrase is it's usually a single pane, and the audience can go ahead and fill in the blank. But from your Infinity portal, and all of these portfolios on there in mind, you did mention email security. And obviously we know that business email compromise is still probably the number one or one of the top threat inputs for a small business, or even for any business, quite frankly. With the acquisition of Avanan and really looking into, I think previously it was anti-phishing that Avanan used to do. Can you share a little bit more on kind of what has been, for my experience, has been several years. I think Rick is still using it today. Has there been any investment inside of business email compromise tools, and especially in Avanan, because previously it was known as the anti-phishing tool? To my understanding now, it's so much more.
Oh, absolutely. It's developed, and the easiest way to think about how much it's developed is that our product managers have a KPI that they need to release at least 5 product releases per month. And they've had that for several years. And the vast majority, I would say upwards of 98% of the releases that we're doing are features that we apply to our existing partners with no extra cost. So where we might have been known as an anti-phishing tool 5 or 6 years ago, we are a complete email security platform now. So that's everything from anti-phishing to anti-malware. In fact, the anti-malware, when we got acquired by Checkpoint, we took the anti-malware engine that they were using in the firewalls, which has a 99.9% block rate according to Mericom. We put that in the back of the email security platform, and it's all getting powered by the same threat intel and AI. So all of a sudden, where we were just anti-phishing, all of a sudden we have the best malware catch rate in the industry. From a business email compromise, we've integrated very heavily with Microsoft, so we see the behaviors inside of 365, and we can proactively block accounts out of 365 if they are, say if there's a portal set up to an external email address, a geo-suspicious login event, a geo-suspicious email sending event, suspicious MFA behavior, suspicious password reset behavior, and the list goes on. On top of that, we've doubled down with the investment with Microsoft, because one of the challenges that MSPs were facing is, what the hell do you do with Defender? Because if you're using a gateway, you're going to have to set up Mailflow rules to bypass it. But if you're using an API tool as a detection remediation solution, you're going to have to manage 2 portals. And so midway through last year, we released a new feature which we patented and got approved for the patent called the Unified Digest, which basically allows us the ability to, number one, we see all of the detections that Microsoft makes, and you can see the mail flow in our portal, the detections that Microsoft makes. You can even see the spam confidence level, phishing confidence levels of Microsoft from our portal. We'll overwrite false positives from Microsoft. We'll overwrite false negatives from Microsoft. The end users will receive a single daily digest, which includes what we've blocked and what Microsoft's blocked, but all the policies for that are actually set from the what's now called Harmony Email and Collaboration from our email security portal, not from Microsoft. So you can get full defense in depth with us and Microsoft, but you only manage it from our side.
And I think that's such a big thing to understand, right? Because I think when everyone goes Microsoft first and they want to dive into it, and Rick, you could probably chime in on here, is, there's so many dashboards in so many places, and then oftentimes it's over here, it should be in security, and it's another section because it's another tool and things of that nature, but specifically to email and in Defender for email and Office 365, managing that inside of, you can't control when the digests go out. You get a report of something happening, and you got to follow that trail and figure out where that's at, figure out the user. So there's so much complexity to try and get to where you want to get the tangible information that you need. Not to mention probably the time frames of investigation that you have moving forward. Now, Rick, I know you're an Abaddon partner and you leverage, but I want to speak specifically on business email compromise and specifically on email management. How have you tried to handle, or when you implement, or what was your mindset in, again, with business email compromise, being a big situation, how have you handled that with your MSP?
Well, I'm learning now that Abaddon is more than what we've been using it for, right? When we started this, as we talked about, we knew that we needed email compromise, we needed phishing. It was 2 different avenues we had to cover, right? And so it's always been you're trying to cover as many bases as you can. Now, Microsoft has done, I think, a decent job of offering the solutions, but as you say, you need a roadmap to figure out where things are. You really do, and that's just something, I guess, when an enterprise company, it's probably they're not thinking that the average small guy like us is going to really, care, or they're I guess pushing it, or is focused somewhere else at the enterprise level, right? So that has always been a challenge, which is why we turn to, for lack of a better word, turn to third-party vendors to help us with that, right?
Yeah.
So having something like that where you can go one place, and I know we're still on that one pane of glass is a pain, but you can have one pane of glass for different topics, and you don't need 3 panes of glass for email. That's what I really think you don't need, which is what we all have to do, and which makes, I know this. My tech does a 7:30 a.m. check every morning, which means he has to check through all of these different, we do get alerts that come in. He goes to the alerts, but then he does that second check of looking through all the different windows to see if there's anything we've missed. Because sometimes alerts don't fire. Sometimes, things don't go right. But I love the idea of being able to see it all in one place. Especially for him, because I'm not looking anymore.
Oh, you gotta love delegation, that's for sure. But you get to a good point, right? Because I always love the phrase of, if it's easier for me, it's gonna be easier for my client, right? And especially when it comes to something, whether it's crunch time, whether something happened, right? I can just think of a scenario where the CPA that I had mentioned to you, where they had a hostile Microsoft takeover, their accounts were completely taken over. They reached out to us. We tried to figure out what we could to get into the system, but when we tried to do the audit logging, nothing was enabled, nothing was on. And so having something like this to be able to filter that information in would provide a lot more information to at least understand what's happening, right?
The reason we exist is because you cannot stay ahead of all threats. It's impossible to detect every threat out there before it becomes an issue. So what we do is we block by default. And when you block everything by default, it really doesn't matter if it's known to be bad. If it's not on the list, it cannot run in your environment. And that is our core focus. Zero trust principles, block first, limit what applications can do. And the other stuff, yes, we chase the threats, we hunt the threats, we do everything else, but that's the backup. The core of ThreatLocker is zero trust. The team is a real part of it. Cyber heroes, we call them, and they range from everyone from the marketing department right through 24-hour, 365-day-a-year support to our clients, which is less than 30-second response time. We've got some of the most advanced threat intelligence team, advanced development teams in the world, and we're constantly hiring and growing that team. And that's what allows us to deliver the best service.
But I want to shift gears a little bit and talk a little bit about, you mentioned Checkpoint being the firewalls in the 90s in the cabinet, right? And we've come to a point now, especially after, COVID in 2020, and it really launched this era of modern workforce and remote workforce. And so, I think at the time, and even maybe a little bit before, we've come to a point where perimeters now has expanded beyond the office. And, for us, we were kind of early adopters of, we are no longer going to be opening up ports. So how do we get around that situation? And how do we make sure that our the perimeter has expanded with the user wherever they are? And so we began looking into IP restrictions and looking into a static WAN IP address, but in the cloud. And so leading us into the term now known as SASE, which I'm not going to try and figure out what the acronym is, but for me, it's a cloud firewall, right? And there's so much more, right? And with obviously your acquisition and now known as Harmony SASE, or is it SSE?
SASE.
SASE, okay.
So Perimeter 81 became Harmony SASE.
So Perimeter 81 became Harmony SASE. And so, now having the ability to implement a firewall to all systems and sharing those characteristics, have you heard, or let me rephrase it like this way, with that adoption in this new age, what have you seen from partners on really diving into more of what Checkpoint is providing, especially after the acquisition of Perimeter 81 and adopting that into their stack? How have you heard at least stories, solutions that they've been implementing to their clients as they try to expand the perimeter from office to kind of following where their end user is?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've seen, it's been an interesting migration because the term SASE, I think it's secure access, secure edge, I think you're right. I think. I might be wrong. I'm the email guy. But what's been interesting is the term's been around for a while now, but the industry seems a little bit slow on the uptake compared to some of the other newer technology that's come out.
I can agree to that.
What's been really interesting though is that a lot of the people we've seen move to SASE have been forced to do it in a very quick manner. So they've had a breach or an incident that's had triggered, maybe they've been considering it and it's triggered the move. What we've seen with Checkpoint and with what's now Harmony SASE, the acquisition of Perimeter 81, where partners have really benefited from it is the speed of deployment. Because if you look at some of the larger scale SASE solutions, to actually deploy them takes a lot of effort, a lot of time and a lot of planning.
Yep.
But I've been privy to partners who have had a customer be breached, they know they need to go and deploy something, and they've been able to deploy to hundreds if not thousands of users within a few hours, which for a SASE solution, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And then the other side of things as well is that, again, I think with MSPs, you look at the way that the enterprise decides to work, and then you look at the SMB and it's like, well, we want the same security. That's necessary. It's mandatory. You have to have the same security. But the restrictions on the way that people work, you don't necessarily want those things as well. So with a lot of the traditional SASE solutions, it is that we're going to point everything to a cloud gateway and everything's going to be filtered out. What a lot of the SMB customers and mid-market customers with Harmony SASE have benefited from is it's not your traditional SASE, it's what we call hybrid SASE.
Okay.
So what hybrid SASE is, it's actually, we'll look at the traffic on the endpoint and we'll decide whether it actually needs to go through the SASE or not. So if you're just accessing Facebook as an example, you don't need to go up through the SASE connection. We just put you straight out onto the web. So it actually gives the end user a better experience and reduces the amount of traffic that's actually hitting that cloud gateway.
Okay. Very cool. So it's kind of a split tunnel VPN on steroids.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly
So,
right.
does that mean basically we split between personal and business? Is how we would look at it?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
So based on the type of traffic, we decide does it need to go up or does it not need to go up. So if I'm on my lunch break and I'm browsing X, or if I'm on Facebook looking at some funny memes, don't necessarily need to push that through the corporate connections.
And it's such a big thing now, right? Because everyone's starting to really dive into the BYOD framework, right? And understanding that, for a managed service provider, a managed security service provider, it's such a pain to try and have to manage BYOD devices. And so having a solution, or as again a platform to be able to manage all that, is truly the real opportunity for those MSPs to adopt this type of framework as you kind of move forward from there. Now, we talked about partners. We talked a little bit about how there's some hand-holding that needs to be done, or at least education on a lot of the transitions of spaces. I imagine that Checkpoint has some type of partner program.
Yep.
Can you share a little bit about what the partner program does? How does it help invest and educate MSPs that are joining on to just better their portfolio?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's two answers that I want to touch on. First of all, in regards to the program, the MSP program at Checkpoint is relatively new. I think we released it about maybe 12 months or 18 months ago.
Okay.
And basically what we did is we sat down with myself, who was leading the Aberdeen MSP business. We sat down with an amazing gentleman by the name of Rich Farbman, who was leading the Perimeter 81 business, and we looked at the two MSP programs and we decided, right, what's the good stuff we want out of them, and let's turn that into one.
Nice.
And so as much as it's a new program to Checkpoint, the lessons learned have been learned in the years prior through Perimeter 81 and Aberdeen. And so the approach that we take to it is we want the best enterprise security, but in an MSP-friendly fashion. And it's got to be radically simple to use. So we don't want minimums, we don't want lock-in contracts, we want single click to deploy licenses, those types of things, just so the MSPs can run their business the way that they want to run. The real benefit that Checkpoint's added in over top of all of that, aside from the actual security in the back end, is Checkpoint invests very heavily in thought leadership and education. Okay. So if you haven't had an opportunity, you should go check out the Checkpoint Research website. The Checkpoint Research, there's a team of, I think, 300 or 400 threat researchers that are constantly producing content, webinars, podcasts, articles, an ebook. We've actually got some hardcovers ones here at Beyond. You can come and go, like the ones you would sit on your coffee table. And it's vendor agnostic. But we create this content to educate the industry of what's going on. So if we see a new type of threat, if we see new trends, and that's all available to partners. In our partner portal, you can actually, so our threat cloud, which is our underlying threat intelligence, it does about 86 billion transactions a day, more transactions than Google.
Wow.
And it's all the threat telemetry from email, from SASE, firewalls, endpoints, things like that. All of that threat telemetry gets pulled into reports. So you can actually go into our partner portal and you can go and generate a report based on region, based on industry, and compare it to different industries in the world. So if you want to know, for example, in the US, how the financial sector compares to the financial sector globally, you can go generate a 20-page PowerPoint presentation that'll break down the number of threats per week, the top ransomware types, the top phishing types in that industry specifically. And so we provide that to our partners so we can educate them, and they can then go educate their customers as well.
And I'm even in my brain as I'm listening to it, kind of even transition to even the benefits of prospecting and being able to understand, hey, this is what you engaged in us. This is how many people are telling you, hey, specifically in this region where you're at in your industry, this is what we're seeing, and here's the hard data and facts that we're seeing through this partner that we have, right? Rick, when it comes to reviewing those type of threat analysis, right? There's just so much in the world, right, to try and figure it out, right? And so having a threat feed would be helpful. My question to you is, when a client or when you hear something that goes on throughout the media, does your customers tend to reach out to you and ask, hey, are you on this software? Or, hey, have you whatever? And how do you communicate with that?
Every now and then we get it. I'll just say this, and this is not to call them out, but it was just because it was big news, was the CrowdStrike incident, right? When we were at a conference, I think, when the CrowdStrike
I think so.
I think we were somewhere, and the phones blew up and it's just because they were saying CrowdStrike's the number one. It's on so many machines, right? But
Sure.
Are we using that, or are we a threat? And it's that's when they do pay attention. They pay attention when they think it can affect them, right? And so it's always good to be able to say, hey, everything that happens out here doesn't affect you. But we always hear from. I'm going to shift gears really quick. Run out of time. But we always hear from when we talk to prospects, when we talk about security, oh, that won't happen to me, I'm too small. And the answer we give them is, you're just too small for it to get reported. It still happens, right? So having a report like that shows, hey, in your region, in your area, or in your industry where you are, all of these too small guys, this is what's happening. This is what's showing up and what we're trying to protect against. So again, that can be nothing but beneficial to speaking to your current clients and speaking to your prospects about what we're doing. This is what we're offering.
Right, and I think it's such an awesome opportunity that as a checkpoint partner, you have the ability of, if you have a review with them, you're getting real-time data. You're not pulling from a report that you had received from a couple months ago. Hey, I just want to let you know, in 2025, we've had this problem. Hey, I don't know if you heard, but like a couple of weeks ago, we had X, right? And so, being able to say, do you see what's happening right now? And showing them in reality as they are educating themselves, because our clients are also understanding that they're trying to figure it out for themselves, right? And they're trying to understand the threat landscape from as best as possible, because, my clients included, will sometimes get information from other sources and they have to question everything, right? And so we had the ability of really focusing on how do we move forward with that real-time education and being able to provide that information to them and really being able to expand and focus on what's best for them. David, I really appreciate you coming on again and talking a little bit about the partner program, things of this nature. Is there anything that we haven't touched on that truly kind of embodies Checkpoint, or just for our audience to kind of listen in on why they shouldn't? I actually have a question before I have that. How can they engage with Checkpoint? What is the preferred method of being able to move forward if they were interested in finding out more about the partner program and partnering with Checkpoint?
Absolutely. So being here at Beyond, we're going to be launching the Infinity Portal. Tomorrow I'm going to be doing that main stage as a key announcement.
Okay.
So you can absolutely reach out to the PAX8 reps or reach out to our website directly. We have quite a large dedicated MSP team.
Okay.
And as a channel-only organization, we're very, very focused on how we work with our partners. So reach out, give it a try. We have NFRs available. This is going to be a little bit salesy, so I'm going to warn you that I'm going to make a little bit of a salesy comment. One of the things that I say to MSPs all the time, have a look at the email security particularly. It takes 7 clicks to set up, 30 seconds, 8 clicks if you've got a pop-up blocker. Deploy it in your environment. You know it's that quick. Deploy it in your environment and do a health check. First 14 days are always free, and we've got 100 NFRs available if you want to use it as well. If we don't catch more than your existing secure email gateway, I will give you an Apple Watch for wasting your time.
You hear that here?
It's on the website. You can go check it out. It's a real challenge. I will say, though, I've done this hundreds of times. I've never given away an Apple Watch. So get in there, try it out, get the NFRs, play around with the other products. All the other products have NFRs available as well. And then just come see the threat intel that we can, so we can help you with your go-to-market.
Can't say any better than that. Putting your money where your mouth is, for sure. David, if anyone wanted to reach out to you specifically, what's the best way for them to reach out?
Reach out to me on LinkedIn. So look up Dave Meister on LinkedIn. You'll see me. There's a couple of other podcasts floating around. I'm the guy with the Australian accent. But if you want to shoot me an email as well, davidme@checkpoint.com. I'm based here out of the US, and coming from the MSP background, myself being born in an MSP, I'm always wanting to speak to partners and hear how you guys are working.
I appreciate that. Appreciate you coming out here. Rick, any final words?
No, as a partner, I'd like to say thanks. I appreciate it. I've been educated a little bit more, which means I also got to pay attention to what's going on. But thanks for coming in. I know it's a busy day for you, but thanks for taking the time to talk to us.
Thanks for having me on.
Appreciate it. Awesome. Again, Dave, thank you for coming out, and thank you for tuning in. Tune in every week. You can catch us on the video podcast on youtube.com/MSP Unplugged. Like, subscribe, and hit that notification button so you'll be notified whenever a new episode is available. You can also take us with you on the go on your favorite favorite podcatcher app. You can go to mspunplugged.com, click the link, and you'll be able to get onto the proper podcatcher that you like, so you can find us on audio as well. Once again, we thank you for listening in, and we look forward to seeing you next time on MSP Unplugged.